So don't use your, what about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact of this, your life is gonna fall apart because you're gonna realize you're not the good guys.
Joining me now is American Culture Project Senior Fellow and best-selling author Corey DeAngelis is in Australia for CPAC in Brisbane this weekend. Now, Corey, like Charlie, your focus is schools and academia. Charlie believed the greatest threat to Western civilization is what's going on our college campuses today. And it starts well before that, doesn't it? The indoctrination has become part of the curriculum.
Yeah, it's a total problem. You think that these issues just start at the higher education levels, but it actually is much deeper than that. The government school system is ripping apart society at its very fabric, at its very core, at the K through 12 level. You have far left radicals that have infiltrated this government school system that have figured out that they can move the direction of our country without even having their own kids by controlling these elite institutions that spend so much money, and they're turning these students against their own country. So I mean, it's a huge problem. And Charlie Kirk was right that, you know, these institutions that are supposed to be about learning are a threat to civilization because of the divisiveness. You look at the critical race theory studies, diversity, equity, inclusion efforts.
And it's now in not just academia, it spreads from those college campuses. Those graduates take it into the corporate world. So it's in your HR departments, it's in public institutions and private institutions. And we're seeing the hostile manner that anyone who deviates from leftist thought is treated on university campuses. Let's have a look at some students at Boston University have called on campus leaders to protect them from violence and intimidation, saying that they fear for their safety amid on-campus celebrations of Charlie Kirk's murder. I mean, this is just sickening, Corey, but this is the reality on university campuses, and I don't think it's just restricted to the US. It would be evident in the UK and right here in Australia.
Yeah, in the US, we've seen a lot of anti-Semitism on campus. We've seen these ideas pushed by the teachers' unions as well at the K-12 level. And President Trump has been going to war with these universities and filing lawsuits against them, trying to stop them from getting federal funding. And he's been dealt a lot of victories lately with Harvard University, Seeding Ground, Columbia University, and others, getting these hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements, paying out to the Trump administration for not being safe for Jewish students. But it's even worse than that. These institutions aren't safe for conservative students. It's a one-sided political echo chamber. You look at Harvard University, for example, 95% of their campaign contributions from people affiliated with Harvard University, according to Open Secrets, went to Democrats. It's a money laundering operation, essentially.
Frankly,
it's
I'm
a one-sided...
shocked there was even 5%. I'm presuming that 5% went to independent candidates.
Yeah, maybe Bernie Sanders.
Possibly. Now, let's turn our attention. You mentioned the teachers' unions. Randy Wintergarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers Union, this week, she's speaking at a Teachers Against Fascists conference. And let me guess here, Corey, the fascists in the eyes of her and the teachers' unions are people like Charlie Kirk, people like the president, and more than half the country that supports them.
Yeah, basically anyone who is to the right of Karl Marx must be a fascist, according to Randy Weingarten. And she put out this book, and she's still releasing it on Tuesday, called Why Fascists Fear Teachers. She copied my book cover, by the way, and in my book cover, I called it The Parent Revolution. The word parent was in red. In her book, the word fascist is in red. So it seems like she's calling parents fascist. The unions think they own your kids. And Randy Weingarten, at a time where we really need to tone it down in America, she's continuing with her book tour to continue getting more sales. She cares about herself. She doesn't care about the country.
And really, when you are calling your political opponents fascists, modern-day Hitlers, when you're characterising them in those absurd terms, but terms that the left increasingly believe, then you really are licensing some deranged person with a gun to kill them, because who wouldn't kill Hitler? If you could avoid what came after Hitler, you would do everything in your power to do that. So they know precisely how dangerous it is. They know the history of violence from the left in the past decade, that they will continue to do this after the assassination attempt against President Trump, and now what's happened to Charlie. It's incredible.
I mean, it's insane. And the left has been known to equate words with violence. And so you're right. When they continue to call people like Trump and anyone on the right a fascist or a dictator. Randy Weingarten was at an event in Chicago just a week or two ago where she was calling President Trump a pharaoh, saying that he was worse than all the pharaohs. And in Exodus in the Bible, the pharaoh wouldn't let God's people free.
Yep.
And he ordered the mass killings of newborn Israelites. So this is just insane. The rhetoric has been turned up to volume 11
Whilst the left says, let's lower the temperature after time, it is just...
total gaslighting, total hypocrisy.
projection and gaslighting, that's all they have. Corey DeAngelis, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Rita.